Siri, you bring a very interesting perspective to this discussion. You are not only very well versed in the history of thinking about this, you are a novelist. Is there a connection between these two things? I mean, does your awareness of psychology and how scientists talk about this, does that make you think any differently about how you write?
No, it probably doesn't, but I do think that the experience of writing, and perhaps most particularly writing fiction, is interesting in relation to the unconscious, because at a certain point in a book, the book seems to be writing itself. Now, what the heck is that, right? That is something peculiar. You don't know where the sentences are coming from. I always say this, why one story and not another? Why does it have to be one way and not another? Why does a writer choose?
Why?
Exactly.
You're here to explain it, right?
So part of that is an effective, I think, what Mark was talking about before, that the only way an artist can know what's right or wrong is a gut feeling, something that when you look at the sentence, you say, that's it. Or you know that a character has to die, sometimes sadly.
And you're saying this is coming out of the unconscious. I mean, that feeling
I would say, I always feel that the book is already written, and that it's like remembering something that never happened. So you're trying to drag out unconscious memories from this place. I know but I'm not alone in feeling this.
But in speaking of writing in memory as recollection, this
Right.
takes one back to Plato.
Yes.
And those
Yes.
are the classic descriptions of memory that
Yes.
people are now recycling in terms of the unconscious. But Plato got by quite well without speaking of the unconscious or speaking about consciousness, and set the models by which we still debate these terms. So in a way, I'd like to say, again, historically people got by with well over a century in the West and longer elsewhere without having to cast things in terms of a notion of the unconscious.
It's true, but
Shakespeare doesn't use
Yeah.
it, and I think that
No.
there's not much in human conduct that's missing from Shakespeare.
no, it's true, except that with Plato, you bring up Plato, Aristotelian thinking, the mind-body, soul-body distinction goes on and on and on. And just to bring a little feminist moment to this discussion, is that the body was, of course, always associated with the female. It was always lower. In Pauline Christianity, this became even more dramatic, right? A Neoplatonic idea. And the mind was masculine and clean and dry and elevated. So, we drag our traditions with us, and they aren't always full of wondrous things for everybody in the population.